started dismantling the crematoria, finally blowing them up in January 1945.
Sorry to wake you up, but we have arrived at Auschwitz. Now look please quickly at the train going under the bridge where we are. This was the station which brought here hundreds of thousands of inmates who were marched from here to the nearby concentration camps. But when they were coming in larger and larger numbers, in 56 days, 430,000 Hungarian Jews, that's when they made the inmates extend the tracks just to bring people to the place which is right here, and this is Auschwitz. Now, we are gonna get off a little before and we're gonna walk the last segment.
Walking on the tracks feels wrong somehow. I could never feel what they felt or experience their experience. The dirt of Birkenau covers my shoes and filters into my mind, my heart.
1.5 million went through these very gates. 1.2 million people were killed on these grounds. 1,100,000 of them were Jews.
I ask how many acres, how many square miles, because I cannot fathom the space of this place. A forest of chimneys stand at attention before the judges of time. They will be held accountable for generations to come, for the generations they held, for the generations that were taken. The sky is filled with light and clouds. The sun's rays shine down. Even in this place there is the hope of Israel, the hope of a haven, a homeland, to welcome those who survived.
We call the sanitary blocks. There were a few of them in each sector, and they were meant to serve the population of these thousands and thousands of people. There is a wake-up call, and now you have to determine what are you going to do. You're going to line up here to use the latrine, where you had 30 seconds to do your business.
Every step there's history, there's another number, there's another story. I want to learn more, but it's not what the head would know, it's what the heart must feel. I cannot teach the Holocaust without being emotional about it, but there's a way to do that responsibly. And in terms of my kids' development, they're seeing from me that, again, head and heart, both of them can be engaged in the learning.
And that was their only way for anything close to personal hygiene, or rather the absence of it whatsoever. There wasn't any. This was their life. So as I mentioned, sometimes it's such things that get me more than anything else, because of the dehumanization, because of the degradation, because of the hurt and insult at any minute.
What I think that I can give my kids is the model of my own inquiry. It's nonstop. You know, Elie Wiesel said Auschwitz must remain a question mark. And I have been walking towards that question mark since 1990. And so I show my kids that we have to keep walking towards it. It's like the horizon, you never get closer to it, but you keep moving towards it.
The original selection was by the train station, because here there were no trains. Okay, so you separated them there. Some of them went to Auschwitz I, some of them came here. And so this story with the selection left and right took place here only during those months when Hungarian Jews are brought here. But during that time, almost a third of the victims of this place of horror were exterminated. The trains come and they have the guards waiting and they have the dogs. Look at the watchtowers. Every few hundred yards you have these people and they're aiming at you. And they have the Sonderkommando, because the Sonderkommando are going to lead the people, direct them, give them instructions. And schnell, 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 quickly, quickly, quickly. So you go wherever they tell you to go. So you go that way.
This was devastating. In Birkenau, I didn't have words to express it. I don't feel so much my pain as the pain of my nation. It is a shame of the human race to do something like this, not just for Jews, for everybody.
These they're not going to reconstruct, no. This is exactly how it was once the German blew it up. This would have been a roof up here. And these were the stairs where they were let down into the building, And this elongated hall, that was the undressing room. So imagine hundreds, sometimes up to 2,000 people are crammed into this space, and now they make a right turn into this elongated space. And if now it gets 1,000,000 times worse. Death within minutes. In some cases, at the longest, it lasted 20 minutes. And once these people are dead, they open the door, they retrieve the bodies, and then they will be introduced into the furnaces in this crematorium. This is crematorium number 2. And now you have ashes. What do you do with the ashes? So some of it is trucked and dumped into the river, and it ends up in the North Sea, in the Atlantic Ocean. But there is so much of it. So you just dig a few feet, and water shows up, and that's where you dump the ashes. And you did it here, and you did it there, and you did it all over the place. And God forgive us, guys, and please forgive us, dear people, because we are standing on their remains. These are all human remains. Come and have a look. These are the bones and these are the ashes. The whole area here. These are all human remains.
One of the things that I brought with me was some sage from home. And there have been points along the way where I've been just saying a prayer and spreading the sage on the soil. And the last point that I did, then I just asked them to please forgive me for walking on them. The sage is used for a smudge. Normally we would burn it and put the smoke over ourselves, say a prayer. The smoke would go up, the prayer would go up. It helps me. I think it's helping some of the others deal with our feelings today. Mm-hmm.
Since all these people were never properly buried and they have no tomb, we will treat this memorial as a tomb. You are welcome to pick a pebble and put on these markers.
I started looking for objects of remembrance that were authentic and objects that felt like if you touched them, you felt the emotion in them. And so the stones became really important today. For the first time in many years, I've seen the stones places. But today the stones became just part of me.
I am shaken to my very core by this seeing and feeling and hearing and experiencing. I was hoping to experience some kind of hope, and maybe I will, but where I am, Mexicans have replaced Jews. I fight this battle every day, and I don't know how to make my students see that they're walking in the same footsteps every time they say those Mexicans, or every time they sit at the segregated lunch table, every time they tell a Obama joke. So have we really come far from the Holocaust and the ideologies that allowed that to happen?
Nobody comes here because they go on holiday. You realize this is not a trip for fun. If you ask me, it's a trip to hell. The people who come here care, are interested, hence you hope that at least some of them will also be vocal about it, instrumental about conveying the message. Not because of the Jewish story, because of the human story.
I wrote last night about the students we saw in Auschwitz yesterday. There was a lot of hope for me in seeing those students. They had their cameras, they were taking photos. Hopefully they're seeing and learning the same things that we are, that they're taking that home wherever their home is.
I don't think I'll ever be able to lose those images from my head, but we now can bear witness in a whole different way, and I can use it in a positive way to be that much more committed to helping my students understand in a basic level with bullying that it's a small step on the ladder of prejudice, a small step to get to this road.